Hi everyone. This is the next song I'm listening to on this little Beatles project that I'm doing. And this one is entitled Love Me Do, from the same album, Please Please Me. Vlad says that according to the official Beatles website, this song is in the pop, rhythm, and blues genre, and that this song, Love Me Do, is the Beatles' official debut single, which was originally released in the UK a year earlier in 1962, before it featured on this album. And then eventually it was released in the United States in 1964, and it seems it became a #1 hit here, as far as I've been told. However, even though that's when it was recorded, it was written several years prior, and even before the existence of the Beatles as a group. I understand that Lennon said in some review or something that Love Me Do is Paul's song. And Lennon said that he knew that Paul had the song around in Hamburg even before they considered themselves songwriters. However, McCartney said Love Me Do was completely co-written, and it was just Lennon and McCartney sitting down without either of them having a particularly original idea. And their practice at the time was to scribble songs in a school notebook, dreaming of the day when they might be stars, and always writing at the top of the page, another Lennon-McCartney original. So that's what I know about the backstory of this song. Let's see how it sounds. As I am doing in this project, I'm going to do a straight through listen, and then we'll go back and listen again and discuss whatever various things we decide to talk about. So here we go. Now listen to what happens. It's kind of building off of that same little bum, 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 bum.
Love me do, oh, love me do. Love me do. You know I love you. I'll always be true. So love me do, oh, love me do. Someone to love, somebody new. Someone to love, someone like you.
That's what the harmonica is building off of. And then a little bit later, it gets more into the bum, 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 bum. More like the love, love, love me do.
Love, love me do. You know I love you. I'll always be true. So please, love me do. Oh, love me do.
Across very innocent. Please love me do. And I give you 2 reasons to love me. The 2 reasons: I love you, and I'll always be true.
Love, love me do. You
I noticed right away that the guitar solo in this song was actually a harmonica solo. Pretty neat, fun, kind of simple and playfully humorous to my mind. Of course, maybe guitar solos weren't so ubiquitous back then. I don't know enough yet to know exactly when they became the standard in rock music. But having heard what I've heard, different patches of music here, music there, different time periods. Here it's a harmonica having a little solo moment, and I think it's cute. So, obviously I can still hear the rock and roll style rhythm in this, and it's like boom ching boom ching boom ching ching boom ching. It's just that rock style, very simple beat underneath. But let's go back through and listen to it, and maybe I'll point out a few things along the way, and we'll see where we go with this. I always manage to think of something right away when I start off listening to a piece of music. This time, I noticed that the intro, of course, the harmonica is doing its little harmonica features, like the funny little trill things. And then there are these triplets. Now, later in the Beatles' work, I heard a lot of triplets. For example, of course I haven't heard that many of their songs, but the one that comes to mind as the most rhythmically unique and fluid and creative is the one that I listened to, which is Strawberry Fields Forever. And some of the rhythmic elements there, and the triplets and the swung rhythms and all these different things happening. Here, very, very early in their career, we suddenly have this little triplet featuring right away in the intro. I don't know if that's just coincidence and it just so happens that that's what they came up with, or maybe that's something that I'm going to hear showing up more and more as I progress through their works. Perhaps it's one of the early clues of where they are going to go with their creativity and their playing around with the fluidity of rhythms and so on and so forth. But anyway, let's keep going.
Love me do. You know I love you. I'll always be true. So please, love me do.
Yes, and again, I am going to maybe argue with the critics, the quotations that I read on the first song of this project, that their music is a chaotic mess. Because again, just like in the song before this, which was Please Please Me that I listened to, now I'm listening to Love Me Do, and again, I could use this as a great example of a very simple compositional technique, which I teach my students at the very beginning stages of when they're learning to start writing music for themselves. They've learned all the basic theory principles, and then we start talking about how to put it all together. And that is what I call ready, steady, go. And I want to show you what that is here, because it is very basic. And if you like to make music yourself, and if you want to try to put a song together, then this is one of the techniques you can use right away, and it works pretty reliably well. What do I mean by ready, steady, go? I mean taking a little musical idea, which in this case, they have this. Just that little bit. Bum, bum, da-dum. And then they go back to it. Da-dum, bum, da dum. The same thing. So that's ready, steady, go. Da dum bum ba bum ba dum ba ba bum dum bum ba bum. And so that little reminder, ready, steady, go, is you take a little motif, a little hook, a little riff. You state it once. That's ready. You state it again. That's steady or set. Get ready, get set. And then the third time you state it, go, you state it and you go on a little bit beyond that to wrap up the little phrase. It's formulaic. It's basic. And it works very, very well, whether it is for a melody or a rhythm. And when you're writing little songs, if you want to do something that has some organization and some stickiness to it so that it's singable and it sticks in people's memories, that's one of the formulas that works very well. Of course, there are others. And then, of course, the real artistry comes when we start taking those formulas and just using them as launching points, and our instincts develop and our musical sense develops to the point where we can go beyond that, which I suppose is what happened with the Beatles over time. But that's where we start. And I see that's where they started here. And if you want to know more about that, then you can check out my Ko-fi and Patreon pages, because I am teaching a series of classes there on music theory, starting with ground zero material. But we will end up getting to the point where you learn these sorts of techniques and how to push yourself even beyond them eventually. So back to this song. I have to argue with the critics and say it is not chaotic. It is very elementary, but if a student brought in a song like this, I would say, great job. That's a good place to start. And it's perfectly acceptable as a little song that you might sing and want it to be catchy. Let's go on now and see what comes next.
Love me do. Love me do. You
It's the next verse.
I love you. I'll always be true. So please, love me do. Oh, love me do.
Okay, I understand. They like to say whoa a lot.
Somebody new, someone
This is kind of a middle section.
someone like you.
Now we're back to that little verse that they came up with that little formula.
I'll always be true. So please, love me do.
And here's the harmonica. It's kind of a folksy quality to have the harmonica playing along. And this is its solo. Right. And that little harmonica solo. Also, if you listen to the different things that he is playing, I don't know who is playing that harmonica, but somebody's playing it. You'll hear that most of what is being played in that little solo moment is drawn from the melodies that came before. We have this middle section, which I didn't talk about compositionally, and I'm not going to get into it. It's simple, but I won't get into it right now. But then you hear the harmonica echoing the same thing, walking down from G to F, all the way to D. Bum, 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 bum. Here it is, an octave lower. Now listen to what happens. It's kind of building off of that same little bum, 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 bum. Then the same idea, a little bit higher. Bum, 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 bum. And then, of course, it ends up back. That's what the harmonica is building off of. And then a little bit later, it gets more into the bum, 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 bum. More like the love, love, love me do. And it's just playing with those little musical ideas. All right, and then going on.
Love, love me do.
Back to the verse. And we feel like we're coming
I
home.
love you. I'll always be true. So please, love me do. Oh, love me do. Yeah, love me do. Oh, love me do.
Very simple, very repetitive, but quite decently constructed. The lyrics also, of course, are just very, very basic, repetitive. And I'm finding it curious to notice that this is yet another love song. Another song looking at some angle, looking at love from some angle. And it seems to me that they were taking different aspects or situations or perspectives of the love experience, and they were writing songs about each little view of it that they could think of. The first one I heard was I Saw Her Standing There, and it seems to be about the experience of falling in love and the desire to be absolutely exclusively in love with this one person. And then the next one was all about the sexual attraction and the sexual experience. And now this one seems to be the longing for the other's love in return and the desire for the assurance that feelings are reciprocal within the relationship. And that's how we hear the lyrics, I'll always be true. It sounds, of course, very childish, but in a beautiful way. It comes across very innocent. Please love me do. And I give you 2 reasons to love me. The 2 reasons, I love you, and I'll always be true. So please love me do. And I can picture a boy in his early teens begging her to love him. It definitely conveys that innocent period of life, and in that regard, it's beautiful, it's sweet, and it's charming. I also begin to feel like, well, okay, these 3 songs, they have a lot of similarities, they have some differences, but I feel like I'm beginning to feel what their style was at this period. I'll be curious to see if I find any other stylistic developments within the songs Vlad has selected on this first album for me to listen to. And we'll see how it goes from here on out. But here it is, Love Me Do, my first time listening. Sweet, charming, innocent, simple. And I'll see you next time.